I'm so excited. I just found out there's another protest near me this weekend. That's great. I'm charging up my digital camera and my microphone, and I'm charging up my Ray-Ban Meta sunglasses as we speak. Very excited. In fact, my wife is very excited. This is my life now. So, what's up, by the way? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. You're in the right place. If you're looking for Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, congratulations. You found me. Here I am, and I'm sitting. I'm in Mar-a-Lago. I'm in my home studio in Mar-a-Lago, Patriot HQ, we like to call it, in illustrious downtown Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm very excited for what we have planned for today. A lot of stuff going on. There could be another assassination attempt against President Donald Trump by Iran. At least that's what Ted Cruz wants us to believe. Also, there could be assassination attempts against the Iranian leader, Ali Khamenei. Well, it's like trading. It's almost like a game of chicken, like who's going to get assassinated first? Hopefully nobody. Hopefully that's what we're praying for. We're hoping, hopefully they quit. The unconditional surrender is the play that Iran decides to go with, which, by the way, how dumb are these reporters? Thank God I'm no longer associated with the news. When I worked for the news, I didn't work for the news. I worked at a radio station that also had a separate news division. I was not part of the news broadcast team. I was not associated with the news broadcast team. I did not work for the news broadcast team. I did not like or trust the news broadcast team because, let's face it, they all liberals. But anyway, I would get constantly complaints. People would call my show and they'd be like, this morning on the news, they said this, or the liberals on the news this morning said this, or your fake news reporters reported this. And I was like, they're not my fake news reporters. We share a radio station. That's all there is. It'd be like calling me up and complaining about Hannity or Brian Kilmeade or something. They control their stuff. I control my stuff. And there's nothing I can do about it. But these reports, thank God I'm no longer even associated by geography with the fake news, because these people are just lunatics and stupid. And the thing is, I guess they don't think how dumb they come across before they ask a question. They ask these questions of President Donald Trump. They feel like they're gotcha questions. They feel like they're like, if I ask Donald Trump this, he's going to look stupid and I'm going to look like a star and I'm going to go viral and I'm going to get my own show just like Caitlin Collins did. I'm going to get my own show just like, Don Lemon before he got fired for being way too idiotic than even CNN could allow for. And so that's what's happening now every single day at the White House, every single day when Donald Trump has some kind of press conference. But before we get into that, I got to tell you, I'm so excited about this. I found out there's a protest near me. And like I said, my life now is waiting for the next protest. When I went to Washington, D.C., and I met these protesters and I played it was just so much fun to watch these people in their own element and to troll them and I don't know. You probably saw the video. If you didn't, here's a little segment again of what I did when I went up for the parade. Before the parade,
you must be a MAGA. You're a MAGA.
Look, I came to DC for the big parade tonight. It's not for like 3 hours though. So I'm going to go try to find some protesters. First, I got to find a Lime scooter. Success. So per usual, all the roads are closed, which is great if you're riding a scooter because you can just pretty much ride anywhere you want. All right, so I'm here at the White House. The White House is there. And there's really kind of boring. I might have to go to the other side or head down to the Capitol building. Go around. Or go to the cap. Let's go around. Oh, jackpot. All right, I'm here right outside the White House. Well, not right outside the White House. They don't really let anyone get right outside the White House, but we're close enough to the White House that you can see, it's in the background there. And look, there's all these protesters. These are all people that hate something. They don't all hate the same thing. Mostly they hate Donald Trump, but they all have different reasons for hating him. We're going to go find out what they all are. We might be here a while.
Trump must go now!
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 Trump
His flag is upside down. I don't know if I should tell us. It's kind of embarrassing. Are you Laura Loomer?
No.
Oh, I saw the bullhorn. She has I heard she was here.
Oh God, that's an insult. I hate Laura Loomer.
No. Anyway, I just wanted to see her again because she was my favorite. I imagine that woman is still. It's been days. She's probably still haunted by the notion of me calling her Laura Loomer. But anyway, that's like my new hobby. You know, some people play chess. You know, some people like to go camping. Others are into fishing and stuff. I like to go and troll protesters. So imagine how excited I was when I got a text message today that said, wait, what did it say? Oh, that said there is a protest this weekend in my neighborhood, which is very exciting, right down the road here in Jacksonville. It's the Defend Our Neighbors protest. This is interesting. It's join us for the Defend Our Neighbors Ice Out of Jacksonville Now this weekend at 4 p.m. So like I said, I got my camera, I got my glasses, I got my microphone, and I am ready to go. But my wife goes, hey, let's go out to dinner this weekend. And I said, all right, do you want to go Friday or Saturday? She said, well, what do we have on the calendar? And I said, well, Saturday I was going to go down and troll some protesters. She goes, great, let's go out to dinner Friday. Because I imagine she's like, that's fine. You go do your thing. It's just like a common thing. So she's like, put it on the cozy. That's because we have a calendar. It's like an inner family calendar where everybody can go and everybody can put on the calendar what they're doing on any given day. And when they put on the calendar what they're doing on any given day, it shows up and everybody can access it. So she goes, what are you doing Saturday? I said, I'm going to go troll protesters downtown. And she said, okay, great. Just make sure you put it on the cozy so that we all know, which is, again, that's how we roll. That's how we roll in my family. So I'm excited to bring you all of that. Now, in addition, like I said, there's all these idiot media people, which maybe I'll run into some when I'm at this protest, who are just saying and asking dumb things of the president of the United States. And a couple of them, I didn't even play all of them yesterday, but there was this one question because now the big thing on everybody's mind is President Donald Trump going to bomb Iran? Is Donald Trump going to bomb Iran? What's he going to do? Is he going to send the bunker buster out to Iran? Is he going to destroy the Corplo? But it's some Lore Cove. It's something. Is he going to destroy the nuclear facility where they're enriching all the uranium and knock them back to the Stone Age once again? Is that Donald Trump's plan? Is he going to enter the war? What's he going to do? Is he going to go to Congress and ask permission for it? What's happening? What is the actual plan with President Donald Trump? And Iran. And a reporter actually asked him that yesterday, and he was like, what are you, an idiot?
Have you been answered questions about whether you are moving closer or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities? Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country.
It's the way it is, but but I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what I'm. You know what? Here's what Iran can do. They can either come to the table or they can unconditionally surrender. And then you know what happened? They were asked the question, what does unconditional surrender mean?
What does unconditional surrender mean?
Well, you know what it means. Unconditional
Can you explain it for those who don't?
Two very simple words. Very simple. Unconditional surrender. That means I've had it. Okay, I've had it. I give up. No more. Then we go blow up all the nuclear stuff that's all over the place there. No, they had bad intentions. There 40 years they've been saying death to America, death to Israel, death to anybody else that they didn't like. They were bullies. They were schoolyard bullies. And now they're not bullies anymore, but we'll see what happens. Look, nothing's finished until it's finished.
Now, what does it mean? What do you mean unconditional surrender? It means I give up, I quit, don't stop shooting at me. That's what unconditional surrender means. It's two words. Unconditional surrender, meaning we're surrendering and we have no conditions on it. And these reporters are just making they're just making fools of themselves. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is making the important decisions that matter, not just to the United States of America, not just to Israel, but to the world. And one of them is, what's he going to do? Is he going to continue to be hands off and allow Israel to handle the situation? Or is he going to escalate and bomb Iran and take out their military facilities that Israel's been unable to touch? What's the plan? We don't know, but we know that Donald Trump is in constant contact with his military experts, with his team, with his national security advisors, whoever that may be. I guess Stephen Miller is still, I think Stephen Miller is still probably the interim national security advisor ever since the exit of Mike Waltz about a month ago or so. But we know this because somehow Fox News knows.
Right now, the president is getting an intel briefing inside the White House, and he and his team are weighing their options on whether the United States should join Israel's attacks on Iran. One U.S. official has already told Fox the president has been asking questions to his aides about bunker-busting bombs. Exactly what are they? What do they do? Get into it. How many would you need? Iran says it would make the U.S. and its allies legitimate targets. But the White House says all options are on the table, and you know Trump means it. And according to the president, a ceasefire is not an option.
I don't want to get involved either, but I've been saying for 20 years, maybe longer, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time. And I think they were a few weeks away from having one. And they had to sign a document. I think they wish they signed it now. It was a fair deal. And now it's a harder thing to sign, It's a lot of water over the dam. But, it's very, I say it very simply, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah, and that is something, again, that has been pretty concise in Donald Trump's orbit. Jason Miller, who is one of Donald Trump's closest advisors and has been, was out, and he was talking about, he's like, look, let the man cook is basically what he said. He's like, we got Donald Trump. We elected him. We know who he is. We trusted him. We know what he's capable of. We know what his plan is. Let the man cook.
Yeah. And that's where I think we have to. This is the reason why President Trump received 77.3 million votes and 312 electoral votes and won with such an overwhelming show of support in the election this last fall. We have to trust in our commander in chief. And we saw in his first 4 years in office, President Trump kept us out of all new wars. There's an important point here that sometimes with the peace through strength, sometimes you have to show a little strength to avoid having to get into a war. Because in a certain case, if we don't take care of it now, it could be something later. But if there's one person who can stop us from being embroiled in a war, it's President Trump.
And that is again, peace through strength. People often forget the peace part of that. And I think it's because we've been inundated with a bunch of war hawks and a bunch of these people that just want never-ending wars. Donald Trump has never been one of those. Donald Trump is the kind of person that says we have a military, and that military should not be used to fight never-ending wars. That military should be used to stop wars from ever starting, or to stop wars once they've started. And the way you do that is with a precise, targeted, impressive, devastating response. I mean, look what happened with General Soleimani. Donald Trump knew that General Soleimani was a threat. He wanted to stop it. So what did he do? Donald Trump had a targeted, very precise, very successful attack on General Soleimani, where General Soleimani was just taken out. Boom, he was gone. In Iraq, a drone struck his vehicle, and that was it. He was eliminated, and nobody else was hurt. No Americans were hurt. There were other people killed because they were in the car, but no Americans were hurt. It was the kind of thing that stopped terrorism dead in its tracks. When President Donald Trump, he always tells this story about Raising Cane, when he flew into, where was it? Was it Iraq? It was Iraq or Iran. Anyway, he made that midnight trip, that surprise trip. I guess it was to Iraq, and he met the troops, and Raising Cane was there, and he talked to Raising Cane. He said, "Hey, why is it that ISIS is still running around?" And General Raising Cane said, "Sir, because we haven't been given the order to get rid of him, sir." And Donald Trump said, "They told me that if I gave the order, it would be like a years-long process." And General Raising Cane said, 2 weeks. And President Donald Trump said, "What do you mean 2 weeks?" He goes, Raising Cane said, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, they will be able to take out all of the ISIS terrorists around the area. So that's all. 2 weeks. That's all we need. And so President Donald Trump said, "Go do it." And they did it. And we had no more ISIS until, of course, Joe Biden came back to power. And now there's ISIS for everyone. There's ISIS galore. There's ISIS in Afghanistan. There's ISIS in Syria. There's ISIS in Iraq. There's ISIS. There's probably ISIS down the road from you. You just don't know it yet. And that's all thanks to President Donald Trump. And that's why and again, look, Donald Trump is not looking for an ongoing war, but he is looking for decisive action. And he's definitely looking to disarm Iran as quickly as possible by whatever means necessary, because in the long run, he believes that's going to bring the peace. And that has, as you know, caused some conflict inside the Republican Party, minor conflicts that I believe, they get blown out of proportion because of social media. But Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, we played you the first part of their conflict last night, or yesterday rather, during the show. Well, there is the full interview that has been released, and Ted Cruz released information or talked about how Iran is plotting to kill the president again.
I'm asking about your allegation and the Prime Minister of Israel's allegation that Iran is trying to murder the president.
Killing terrorists is a good thing. Killing people who are trying to murder Americans is a good thing. Because if you're America first, you want to protect America, and so killing Osama bin Laden was a fantastic.
But you don't really believe that they're trying to murder Trump, or
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Then why aren't you calling for military action against Tehran right now?
Because they're not very effective. In terms of hitmen, their hitmen are not very effective. I do think.
So they're hitmen, but not the bad kind, the efficient kind?
No,
what are you saying?
They're a weak country who is on its knees, and I think we need to.
Then why are we so afraid of them? Why are they the biggest threat if they're a weak country that's on its knees?
Because they're trying.
I'm trying to keep track.
They're trying to develop. Be a little less snarky.
I know, you're right. That is a problem that I have. I'm sorry.
At least he admits it. That's very poignant. There's this one clip here. So this was Tucker Carlson and this was Ted Cruz, and they were going back and forth again about what exactly is, let me pull up this one clip here, about what exactly is going on with President Donald Trump and Iran. And Ted Cruz said, look, we have intel. We know that there are people out there, mostly from Iran, who have tried to kill Donald Trump in the past and will try to kill him in the future.
I don't understand that.
Look, and it goes back to...
Because you don't really believe it's true, that's why.
Nobody disputes it, Tucker. Did you land on the moon? What other conspiracies do you not believe? Was 9/11 an inside job? I mean, like what?
I've asked you the names of these people. I don't
know the names of the Iranian hitmen. I know it because the U.S. military and the intelligence agencies have testified before Congress repeatedly.
And what did they say?
That Iran is trying to murder Donald Trump and has hired hitmen. Do I know the name of the hitmen? No, I'm sorry. And I don't think we do either, because we would apprehend them if we knew their names.
Then why don't you take it seriously enough to support killing the Ayatollah in response to protect our president? But you don't. This doesn't even make any sense. And you're calling me an isolationist. If I believed that was true, I would support military action against the government of Iran.
Okay, that's interesting, because there is literally...
You can't kill our president.
All right, out of 535 members of Congress, I am not aware of one who disputes that Iran is trying to murder Donald J. Trump. That's not even the looniest Democrat doesn't dispute that. So I don't. You're saying if you believed what is, I think, a fact that they are trying.
You think it's a fact?
Yes.
What is the fact exactly?
That they've hired hitmen
in the United States.
Yes,
Americans.
Yeah, he's not in Iran, so they haven't hired hitmen.
No, but are they the hitmen American?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you what, and by the way, I'm not the CIA. I'm not the Department of Defense. I'm telling you what they have told us.
I'm not disputing it. I'm merely saying
we are.
That I'm not. I'm saying the logic train has a massive hole in it. If you believe that's true, then you should, by definition, support killing the people trying to kill our president. But you don't support that.
Now, Tucker,
I'm wondering what's going on here.
Tucker, you took offense to the word isolationist, and I genuinely don't mean it as a pejorative. I disagree with it.
Yeah. So anyway, basically what's happening here is, Tucker Carlson's trying to get some hits on his website or on his TCN network, which he's probably getting. But Ted Cruz is saying, look, we know for a fact, and I don't think anyone disputes that. Even without Ted Cruz saying it, I was always convinced that Iran was trying to kill President Donald Trump. I imagine as president, you're getting threats from multiple different people, terrorist organizations and state sponsors of terror. There's no bigger state sponsor of terror than Iran. Donald Trump has already tried to cut off Iranian, supply chains. He bankrupted them once. He's trying to bankrupt them again. He's been shooting at the Houthis since he took office almost. It's over and over. It's constant. There should be no there should be no, I would think, question that even if you don't know the names of the actual hitmen, probably Abdul something. I don't know for a fact, but I'm guessing if you're like, what's the name of the Iranian hitman? I don't know. Abdul al something. That would be my guess. That'd probably be a safe bet. But Ted Cruz is saying, look, it's happening. All right. They're trying to murder the president. And Tucker Carlson says, if we know that for a fact, why aren't we just bombing them repeatedly? Because that would be an act of war. It is true. And I guess the difference is trying to kill the president an act of war, or is killing the president an act of war? Like, for example, when Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated, which drew, which was basically the beginning of World War I. When Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated, that was an act of war. But if there were failed assassination attempts before that, do you actually have to succeed before it becomes an act of war? We're not really sure. Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz continued, by the way, and Ted Cruz asked him about a failed string of foreign policy, or a long string rather, of foreign policy failures that Tucker Carlson was alluding to. Here's how that went down.
And I see an unending string of foreign policy disasters that have impoverished and hurt our country.
Unending string.
Unending string. They would include Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, and our inability to stop the Houthis, by the way, in Yemen, which exposes us as weak, and I grieve over that. So these are failures. You helped preside over some of them as a member of the Senate.
What failures, foreign policy failures, have I presided over?
Well, we were unable to beat Russia in the war that you supported against Russia. You've been spending the last 3 years telling us that Vladimir Putin is evil and we're going to beat him with other people's children, and 1 million of those kids are now dead. You've never apologized for that. That was a full failure.
By the way, look, the level of number of falsehoods you lay out just in one statement are rather.
You haven't supported the war against Russia?
Are rather stunning. So the war against Russia was caused, which I have explained at great detail, by Joe Biden's weakness.
But you supported the war.
If you want to talk, we can talk Russia and Ukraine. I'm happy to talk about it.
Do you think that's been a success?
No, it's been an absolute disaster.
Okay, but you supported it. Shouldn't you apologize?
No, you should apologize. I'm not going to engage in the demanding of apologize. So
I'm like, that's my point. Is all these failures and no one ever says I'm sorry.
Matter, or do you just throw out if you want to talk, we can talk.
Okay, I do. I want to know why that seems like a true disaster for the United States.
And that is Tucker Carlson. Ted Cruz, I guess it seems Tucker got under his skin, or Ted Cruz wasn't prepared, or I'm not really sure what's going on, but Ted Cruz definitely seems a little more inflamed than he should. And if he took a beat, he'd probably be able to confidently explain to Tucker Carlson why he's wrong.
Is it that they're willing to spend money to do that?
Opposed to that. It's awful. I am against killing anybody, actually, and especially foreign government. Okay. I'm asking about your allegation and the Prime Minister of Israel's allegation that Iran is trying to murder the president.
Killing terrorists is a good thing. Killing people who are trying to murder Americans is a good thing. Because if you're America first, you want to protect America. And so killing Osama bin Laden was a fantastic day for the world.
But you don't really believe that they're trying to murder Trump, or you?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Then why aren't you?
Yeah, and that's it goes on and on. There was a whole bit about Sunday school and about whether or not Ted Cruz has read the Bible. It's really interesting, and of course, it is, or it has been, continuing to push this narrative that Tucker Carlson, for whatever reason, is pro-Iran or anti-Israel or anti-MAGA or against Donald Trump, and it has been, I believe, probably a great big distraction from what is actually happening, which is whether or not Iran will be bombed by President Donald Trump or the American military in an effort to keep them from ever getting a nuclear weapon, which again is his entire goal. The goal is not an endless war. The goal is not any war. The goal is not to support Israel at any cost. The goal is to keep Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, because what are they going to do? They chant death to America. Constantly, all the time. I think it's actually their national motto. You know, we have E pluribus unum on the money. I think on theirs they have death to America, if they even have money. I don't even know. They may not have any money anymore. I'm not even really sure. Lindsey Graham, by the way, I didn't play this clip the other day, but Lindsey Graham literally wants a war. He wants troops on the ground in Iran.
Can you guarantee that? Can President Trump in any form, can you make the commitment that this would not lead to a longer war?
I can guarantee you that if the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon, he will use it. I believe that with all my heart and soul. So the men and women who serve, they're the ones going, not people answering a poll. And if you ask them, would you be willing to risk your life to stop the Ayatollah from having a nuclear weapon? All of them would say yes, because it makes their country, our country, safer. So we live in a world where you've got to confront problems. You want to avoid World War III? Learn the lessons from World War II. People in World War II appeased Hitler to the point that it got so much out of hand, we had a world war and 60 million people got killed. So we live in a world where you pay now or you pay later. Let's stop this threat before he gets a nuclear weapon. Let's end this reign of terror. Let's do it now. It's not going to take 20 months, but I can't guarantee you your freedom and your safety unless we're willing to fight for it. I can guarantee you this: if we don't fight for our freedom, we will lose it.
Yeah, well, Senator.
Yeah. And so that's, I mean, look, the way that Lindsey Graham, and thank God that guy's not president, the way Lindsey Graham and Donald Trump fight is very different. And I was at the military parade in Washington, D.C., and I saw the tanks go by and I saw everything else. And one of the most exciting and one of the most impressive things to me were the autonomous vehicles and the drone technology. And I guess what Lindsey Graham doesn't understand, or what some people don't understand, is we have the technology. Like, we don't need boots on the ground. The boots don't ever have to hit the ground anywhere. There don't have to be foreign wars fought by men and women marching through the streets. But there's no more urban warfare. We have, I mean, here's what we got. We got drones that can fly around and bomb people and take things out, and they can do all kinds of different surveillance. We've got autonomous tanks that can be remotely operated. I saw them in DC, and they're fully operational. They're fully, armed. I mean, we've got missiles that fly around. We're building a big golden dome over the United States of America. There doesn't seem to be anything at all that seems like we need to risk American lives anymore. I mean, these soldiers, and there are a lot of soldiers, there are a lot of brave men and women, but the soldiers that are the first into combat aren't even in combat. They're in a control room somewhere on an aircraft carrier, or back here in Washington, D.C. There's probably a room somewhere in the basement of the Pentagon where you've got these video game experts, these former esports athletes who were once Fortnite junkies and are now enlisted in the military to operate these autonomous vehicles and drone warfare, aircraft and everything else, and fly around and save the country. I mean, look at that. Look at again what happened with General Soleimani. That was a single solitary drone strike that took out the leader of pretty much every terrorist network and really began to be the beginning of the end of ISIS. So that's where we are today. I don't know where we're going to be tomorrow, but we will be monitoring the situation. Now, it is, of course, Juneteenth, which means I think things are closed. I'm not. We're here. We're working. I know. Now, back when I had a job, they celebrated the Juneteenth holiday, or they respected the Juneteenth holiday. And what that meant was that they would let us all get off of work. So, and of course, we didn't take off Juneteenth because it just seemed like an excuse to not work. And it was great because what I could do is I could say, look, I'm going to work Juneteenth, and then I can use the day somewhere else. And then when I would go away, like for example, the 4th of July, well, the 4th of July was a holiday. I had Juneteenth as a holiday. So then instead of taking 5 days off to get a week off, I only needed to use 3 of my PTO days. It was really, really fantastic. And if your company allows you to do that, I would try to do that in the future. If you can work a holiday and then use that holiday sometime else when it's convenient for you, 100%, 10 out of 10 recommend that strategy instead of just willy-nilly taking off all these holidays that nobody even really understands. What they mean. But that's neither here nor there. Also on the 4th of July week, here's my schedule coming up. I got a lot of stuff coming up, and traveling is important, I believe. I think it's important as a conservative broadcaster, an influencer, and a member of somebody who's running for Congress. I believe that it's important that we go out there and we talk to each other and we get together and we make sure that we're all supporting each other and we have the same ideas and we hobnob, and we also make sure that we are promoting the right conservative ideas to the right people. And as opportunities arise, I take advantage of all of them. So on July 4th, I'll be headed out to my usual family retreat in South Carolina. However, I will be broadcasting that week because I just took a week off when I went to Paris, and I'm not going to do that again. Then almost immediately when I get back, the following week, there is a large group of conservative youth gathering in Tampa, Florida, for what's called the TPUSA Student Action Summit, or Turning Point USA Student Action Summit. This is something we went to like 2-3 years ago. I think the last time they were in Tampa was 2022. And we went there. I took my producer with me. We had a blast. We met so many great kids. We interviewed so many amazing people. And this year's lineup is just incredible. I mean, it's always incredible, but Tucker Carlson supposedly is going to be there. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of a reaction the crowd has to him. Pete Hegseth is also going to be there. I mean, it's just, I should probably just pull up the roster because it's really exciting. And I'm going to be there broadcasting and talking to people and getting interviews. And it's going to, let me go to, how do you spell TPUSA? Oh, there it is. TPUSA. Yeah, let me pull this up real quick. So here's what we got. We have the Student Action Summit is what it's called. And it is coming up in July. Charlie Kirk, of course, will be there because, well, TPUSA that's his thing. Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly will be there. Donald Trump Jr., which, by the way, how come Donald Trump Jr. is on the second row? What's up with that? Are he and Charlie Kirk beefing about something? Steve Bannon, Greg Gutfeld from Fox News will also be there. Laura Ingraham, very excited. I hope to get a chance to sit down with Laura Ingraham while I'm there. Ross Ulbricht, Byron Donalds, Tom Homan. Look at that. All-star lineup, folks. All-star lineup. We've got Josh Hawley and Ben Carson and Brett Cooper and Michael Knowles and Brandon Tatum and Benny Johnson and Jack Posobiec and Chairman Michael Watley of the GOP, Anna Paulina Luna, James O'Keefe is going to be there, Riley Gaines, Alex Clark, Jeff Zoch, not sure who that is, Leanne Baker, Josh Hammer, Joe Bob, and Alexis Wilkins. Oh, they have room here. Maybe I could be a speaker too. I'm gonna have to reach out to somebody and say like, hey, can I be a speaker? Because there'll be more soon to be announced. But that's where I'm gonna be in July rather. So if you're in the Tampa area, by all means, come by. It's gonna be a fantastic event, and we're gonna be getting some featured, hopefully some really amazing featured interviews. We're gonna start working on that ASAP so that we can figure out just how to bring you the best overall experience. In other news, by the way, speaking of young people, Donald Trump has signed an executive order extending the deadline for the TikTok closing for 90 more days. 90 more days. The new deadline, because look, business is slow. It moves slowly. There's lawyers. There's all kinds of things. Getting a deal done. 90 days is never enough time. But now what's happening is there's a new executive order extending the deadline for the TikTok closing for 90 days through September 17th, 2025. That means that TikTok will be around for 90 more days, at least. And I'm sure by then we'll have figured out something with ByteDance and something else with whoever's in charge and some local company. And I don't know, Mark Cuban or Kevin O'Leary or whoever's on. There's like 8 different people who want to buy TikTok. I mean, why wouldn't you want to buy TikTok? It's one of the most popular apps in the entire world, and it's growing every single day. But Donald Trump, while he is, and this is the thing that people need to realize, while Donald Trump is focused on Iran, and while he's watching what's going on in Iran, he's also making sure that he's keeping the economy afloat, and he's taking care of TikTok, and he's taking care of other American interests. Because this is the thing about TikTok, because people always they say, why is it that Donald Trump is so focused on TikTok? Who cares about TikTok? Why is TikTok even a thing? I'm going to be honest with you. I'll tell you why. Because Donald Trump cares about small business, and small business uses TikTok to make money. They use it for marketing and advertising. They use it as a sales outlet. They use it for affiliate marketers and partnerships. TikTok has become the leading brand, not just in digital marketing, but in digital retail. They have come with their TikTok shop processes. They have made it possible for anybody with any business of any size anywhere in the world to create a storefront and get an army of salespeople to sell their wares for a share of the profits. It's really incredible what they've been able to do. And so TikTok is an important tool in the toolbox of so many American entrepreneurs. Not just that, but there are influencers, if you want to call them, whatever it is, who use TikTok every single day to make a solid living, like a serious living. They're making tens of thousands of dollars a month, some of them $1 million a year, simply by creating entertaining videos or sales videos or other content on TikTok. Now, I myself, as a media creator and an influencer, use TikTok. I use all the other apps. And it is so important, not only that you, as really not even as a small business owner, but as anybody, if you work for a company, if you're in sales of any kind, if you have a product, if you have a business, if you're looking to start one, it's so important that you know how to use these social media apps because it's the best free way to reach an audience. The other thing that's important to realize is that not only do you want to learn how to use one, but you need to learn how to use all of them. Why? Because TikTok, as we've seen, could disappear at any moment. We almost saw it disappear in January. Donald Trump came in and saved it. Now he's had to give it another reprieve for another 90 days. Will it ever be the same? You never know when these things are going to change or go out of business or get bought out or just get shut down. Yes, you've got Facebook and Instagram and they've been around forever. And yes, YouTube is killing it and Rumble's making a splash, but you just never know when the platform's going to go away or when they're going to throw you off, especially if you're a conservative. Now, one of my favorite ways that people in the new golden age, that conservatives in the new golden age, that any business owner in the new golden age can create content and get free advertising is through podcasts. And that's why I have not one, but two podcasts. When this podcast, when Mark Kaye Saves the Republic became my go-to, became my number one form of income, when I went from being a radio host with a podcast to being a podcaster full time, this podcast, I realized, had an incredible amount of potential, an incredible reach, an incredible ability to grow, an incredible ability to inform people and entertain people and bring people together. And the liberty, love, and freedom defending patriots who found me and all of us through this podcast it's just been insane, the growth that we've seen. So much so that what did I do? I started a second podcast, the47daily.com, which we do every single day. And it continues, both of those continue to steadily increase in popularity, steadily increase in growth, and as a result, steadily increase in income. Now, something that I'm doing next week, which I'm really excited about, is because I've taught all kinds of things. I've taught people about YouTube and Facebook. I've taught people about Instagram and TikTok. I've taught people about all kinds of different stuff. But one thing I've never taught was about podcasting. And a lot of people always ask about it. And to me, podcasting is the single best way to market your business and yourself in the new golden age. And if you're interested, I am hosting a podcasting event. It's next week. It's free. There's absolutely no charge. It's an hour, probably more because I talk a lot. I would say, you know what? It's an hour, but then there'll be Q&A. Then there'll be me going, oh, you know what? That reminds me of something else. So I'd say maybe like 90 minutes. But if you're interested, it's absolutely free. It's Wednesday, June 25th, which is a week from yesterday at 8 p.m. And you can come and it's absolutely free. You just click on the spot and I'm going to show you exactly how I podcast, why I podcast, how I monetize my podcast, how you can podcast, why you should podcast, and most importantly, how you can monetize your podcast as well. And if you're using TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or any of those other platforms, you need to have podcasting in your repertoire for a number of great reasons, which I won't go into now because I'm holding a free event. So if you're interested, it's markkay.com/podcast-profits. Or if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, you can just click the link in the description. markkay.com/podcast-profits, or click the link in the description. Sign up. Again, absolutely free. That is next Wednesday. And that is something I'm very, very, very excited about. Something I'm not very excited about is Maxwell Frost. Maxwell Frost is one of the reasons why, I don't know, maybe 25 is just too low. It's just too young to allow these people into Congress. Maybe 25 is not the right age to allow people into Congress because you end up with people like AOC. You end up with people like, well, Maxwell Frost, the youngest member of Congress. He's from Orlando, Florida, which also doesn't make me happy. And he's one of these guys that flew down to El Salvador trying to see Abrego Garcia and was denied access. And now he's out there and he's revamping and he's bringing back one of the favorite hits of the Democrat Party, and that is amnesty, amnesty, amnesty citizenship for all.
To my Republican colleagues who say, I don't want any undocumented people in this country, I actually agree with you. So let's document every single one of them with a speedy path to citizenship. That's how we fix this problem. But this terror campaign of having masked people rolling up in vans, unmarked vans, grabbing students off of the street. But we also have to talk about the agents themselves that are carrying this out. If you have any decency, quit now. Go do something else. Because just doing what you were told has been the justification for some of the worst horrors and crimes against humanity in the history of not just this nation, but this world.
I'm pretty sure that the ICE agents that are carrying out these raids, I'm pretty sure they're doing exactly what they want to do. And Maxwell, he's always late to the party, isn't he? He's just the latest one to declare ICE agents to be Nazis or compare them to the Nazi regime or the Third Reich. This is something that's been going on for weeks. He's always late to the table. He went to El Salvador after Chris Van Hollen went to El Salvador and met with Abrego Garcia. By the time he rolled in, by the time he showed up, they were like, I'm sorry, we've already been through this dog and pony show. We don't need to do it again. Now he's out there calling ICE agents Nazis a solid 2 weeks after Representative Dan Goldman from New York did it and got publicity for it. And now he's saying, you just quit, just pack up and go do something else. I would tell Maxwell Frost to do the exact same thing. But this is how it goes. This is how it goes with the Democrat Party. They are glomming on to old ideas that failed once and are going to fail before. They're bringing back amnesty for all because they realize that Donald Trump is not going to let up. They know that these people are going to continue. They're not going to allow anyone else through the border. And we saw the border crossings are down. I'm sorry, the releases of illegal immigrants into the country have gone down to zero. From May to May, it was 67,000. Now it's zero. There's nobody else coming in. And the people that are here are going to be shipped out. And amnesty is not going to save anybody. It's just not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. Now, if you want to be a citizen, I mean, here's what would be better is if Maxwell Frost and every other Democrat, instead of calling ICE agents and instead of calling them Nazis and, battling against our law enforcement, because that's what they're doing. They're basically battling against our law enforcement. They are battling against law enforcement and they are saying, you guys are the enemy and the enemies are the people we should be fighting for. You guys are the bad guys and we are the ones who can, we are the ones who should be, the illegal immigrants are the ones who should be saved. It's a really bizarre thing. It's not very popular at all with the American people, but it's all they have. They've when you import these people into the country and you claim that this is the way we need to go and this is the future of the United States of America, when you make illegal immigration a primary goal of your entire administration, you can't just abandon it and then you start looking like an idiot and all you have to do is call for amnesty. But it's an interesting tack to take, and I don't know how it's going to play out in 2026. I don't know if in 2026 there's going to be enough Democrats who can get enough Americans behind them and to support their efforts to protect illegal immigrants. I don't know if there's going to be enough people to do that. I mean, stranger things have happened. I've been out there campaigning because, as you may or may not know, what happened? Sorry, I got a YMCA bomb. That was great. Sorry. I guess I had something that was not muted. Oh, wait, hold on. We're missing the press briefing too. I didn't know if there was going to be a press briefing today because there was because it's Juneteenth. And I didn't know if I know the White House doesn't really, I know it's not like a real holiday, but yeah, here it is. All right, I want to dip into the press briefing here very quickly. But before we do that, there is kind of this, while I've been campaigning, there is this outlook that the Democrats should have a solid chance at winning back the House of Representatives. And I've said it myself several times. I'm the one that's out there going, this is why we need combative conservatives. This is why we need good, solid conservatives. We can't rest on the laurels of the conservatives that we have right now in Congress because they may not be able to stand up to the Democrat Party should they win the House of Representatives. And now I look at all of these things that they're touting and I think maybe that's not even a concern. Maybe they won't win the House of Representatives, which, by the way, you should still vote for me because I'll still be able to fight, unlike the guy who's currently there. Let's listen in real quick to the press briefing, which started a few moments ago.
117,000
Oh, here's exactly
illegal
what we're talking
aliens. And this particular statistic is absolutely astounding. In the month of May, under the Trump administration, 0 illegal aliens were released into our country by Border Patrol. Let me say that again. Not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States of America last month under this administration. Let's contrast that to Joe Biden's failed leadership, where immigration officers were wasting their finite time and resources processing dangerous illegal aliens for release into the United States. President Trump immediately terminated that reckless Biden-era practice that undermined the rule of law, jeopardized public safety and our national security.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because I know that there's going to be questions about Iran, and I want to get to that. Oh, I also want to see who's in the new media seat.
Message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today. So we'll kick it off for questions here in our new media seat. We have Eli Lake from the Free Press. Eli, go ahead.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
The Free Press. The decision to extend the, I guess, delay in enforcing the TikTok ban.
Sure.
Can you talk about how the White House understands its constitutional authority in light of the Supreme Court's decision in January that said that the president had to enforce the ban?
Sure. Well, as all of you know, because the president put it out on his Truth Social today, he did sign an executive order to extend the TikTok ban for 90 days. So in the effort to make a deal. And the White House counsel and the Department of Justice have reviewed this executive order, and I can get it for you. I think it's on our website by now. If it's not, my team will now put it up immediately. And you can read the language in that executive order. And the White House counsel's office and the Department of Justice strongly believe in the legal rationale for this executive order. They wouldn't have the president's pen hit it if they didn't. And the political reasoning for this, of course, is because the president made a promise to keep TikTok on. There are 100 million Americans who use this app. It's wildly popular. He also wants to protect Americans' data and privacy concerns on this app, and he believes we can do both things at the same time. So he's making an extension so we can get this deal done.
Can I get a follow-up?
Sure.
A few weeks ago, Tucker Carlson reported on a meeting between the president, Mark Levin, and others at the White House. Is there a leak investigation, and can you say who else was in that meeting?
I'm not aware of a leak investigation at this time. I, for one, do not reveal details about the president's private meetings without his permission to do so. But certainly the president does not like when people leak. He takes that very seriously. This entire administration takes that seriously, and that's why you've seen at agencies some of the cabinet secretaries have been given the authority by the president to let go of staff who are engaged in such leaks, especially those that risk American national security. Sure. Go ahead.
Caroline, thank you. So, Rhino warmonger Lindsey Graham, he recently called on the U.S. to go all in.
That's quite the lead to a question.
Right. What's your message to everyday Trump supporters? Not the Tucker Carlsons or other big names, but everyday Trump supporters, grassroots who voted for President Trump to stop the wars, rejected this in the primary, going into another war with voting against Nikki Haley, and they want to see non-U.S. involvement in this war. What's your message?
Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts, and President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president in implementing a peace through strength foreign policy agenda. And with respect to Iran, nobody should be surprised by the president's position that Iran absolutely cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. He's been unequivocally clear about this for decades, not just as president, not just as a presidential candidate, but also as a private citizen. In fact, I have some quotes for you. In 2011, President Trump said, "America's primary goal with Iran must be to destroy its nuclear ambitions. We cannot allow this radical regime to acquire a nuclear weapon that they will either use or hand off to terrorists." In 2015, the president said, "The problem is that Iran poses an existential threat to Israel, our Middle Eastern allies, and the United States." And of course, the president has repeated that in his first term as president and his second term as president as well. That's why he was adamantly opposed to the disastrous Iranian nuclear agreement that was implemented by President Obama. And it's why he has given great latitude and given a lot of effort to achieving a diplomatic solution. But he's been very clear. Iran went for 60 days when he gave them that 60-day warning without coming to the table. On day 61, Israel took action against Iran. And as I just told you from the president directly, he will make a decision within 2 weeks.
A follow-up?
Sure. Go ahead, Natalie.
Thanks, Caroline. Can you confirm whether Steve Witkoff has been in touch with the Iranian foreign minister? And does Witkoff plan to go to Geneva tomorrow for talks?
I am not tracking that on Mr. Witkoff's travel schedule, but I can certainly check in with him to be sure. As for correspondence between the United States and the Iranians, I can confirm that correspondence has continued. As you know, we were engaged with 6 rounds of negotiations with them in both indirect and direct ways.
Thanks, Kelly. Just to clarify the president's statement just now, when he says that he'll make a decision in the next 2 weeks, is he saying that if Iran does not come back to the negotiating table within the next 2 weeks, that the president will strike?
The president is saying that he will make a decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. It's very clear and direct.
Pretty clear and direct,
Is he seeing any signs of progress? He obviously is holding out hope for negotiations, but is he seeing any inklings of progress that give him that hope that talks are still possible?
Well, that's why he said in the statement that I just read for all of you, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, he will make that decision within the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Scott.
There's still a substantial chance is my question.
I'm not going to get into the reasoning and the rationale. The president believes that,
That's a
but
dumb
that's
question.
his position, and he will make a decision within the next 2 weeks.
Scott, we appreciate it.
President Trump has said previously in regard to Russia, he's used this phrase about 2 weeks several times in terms of we expect like a 2-week deadline and then you give another 2-week deadline. How can we be sure that he's going to stick to this one on making a decision on Iran?
Well, in those deadlines, as you've seen in respect to Russia, Ukraine, might I add, these are 2 very different, complicated global conflicts, as you know, that the president inherited from our previous incompetent president in the weakness of the previous administration. And the president has spent a tremendous amount of time and effort cleaning up these crises that were caused by the last administration's just complete dereliction of duty on the world stage and American weakness. Now we have American strength again. With respect to Russia and Ukraine, because of that American strength and the president's leadership, we have seen these 2 sides engage in direct negotiations. And the last time the president said 2 weeks, you saw Russia and Ukraine have direct negotiations for the first time in years. And so the president is always interested in a diplomatic solution to the problems and the global conflicts in this world. Again, he is a peacemaker in chief. He is the peace through strength president. And so if there's a chance for diplomacy, the president's always going to grab it. But he's not afraid to use strength as well, I will add. Francesca.
Thanks, Caroline. What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail?
No enrichment of a uranium, and it would absolutely not. Iran is not absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. The president has been very clear.
I mean,
about
again,
that.
I feel like
and
we know
by
the
way,
answers to these questions.
The deal that Special Envoy Witkoff proposed to the Iranians was both realistic and acceptable within its terms, and that's why the president is sent that deal to them.
To follow up on what you told Natalie, are the talks that the United States is currently having with Iran direct, or are those through intermediaries? And if so, which countries are acting as the intermediary right now?
Out of respect for the ongoing discussions and negotiations, I am not going to get into the details of them. We've provided you confirmation for now. Go ahead. Sure, and then behind you too.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Sorry. On the topic of negotiations and talks, does the president have any hopes or specific expectations for the talks tomorrow between European foreign secretaries and their Iranian counterpart?
Well, certainly the entire
All right, let's zoom forward a little bit.
Those types of
because I will have to wrap up here in just a minute.
Or they will face grave consequences.
Why is Steve Witkoff not participating in the talks this week?
I can ask Mr. Witkoff why he is not.
Thanks, Caroline. Does the president object if Israel attempts its own operation against Fordo in the next 2 weeks?
I won't decide that for the president, nor will I share that here. I'll let him speak to that.
And then just another one. Iran is apparently warning Europeans that if it's struck by the U.S., it may withdraw from the nuclear proliferation treaty. That would result in throwing out inspectors and taking the program dark. What does the president think of the value of having Iran as a full signatory of that treaty?
Well, that's reckless rhetoric, but I understand the Europeans are meeting with the Iranians tomorrow, so we'll see how that meeting goes.
Just one more on Juneteenth. Does the president plan to commemorate the holiday today or make any comment on it?
I'm not tracking his signature on a proclamation today. I know this is a federal holiday. I want to thank all of you for showing up to work. We are certainly here. We're working 24/7 right now. Nikki, go ahead.
Actually, that was my question. Will he plan to mark Juneteenth in any way, either today or with an event later on, maybe next week?
Sure. I just answered that question for you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Caroline. The fact that this president is giving some time and space for diplomacy, another 2 weeks, does it mean that the president is trying his best to avoid a direct conflict with Iran?
I think the president has made it clear he always wants to pursue diplomacy, but believe me, the president is unafraid to use strength if necessary, and Iran and the entire world should know to that, but he's made his priorities for our European allies quite clear, including...
Oh, it's over.
How would you define it?
America first, always.
Let's listen to that in part.
A significant chunk of money to the tune of billions of dollars to support our mutual interests and our assured defense. So I will let him speak to that, but he's made his priorities for our European allies quite clear, including Spain.
Thank you, Caroline. One last question. When it comes to the president's position on foreign policy in general, is there a phrase that the White House has coined? Is there a Trump doctrine? Does the president like to talk about this? Anyone here in the White House talking about this? And if so, if there is something akin to a Trump doctrine, how would you define it?
America first, always. And with that, I think I'll leave you. I know there's a lot of news in the world right now. As you know, our team is always here to answer your questions. And the president, I am sure, will take more questions from you guys at some point this week, as he always does in the effort of transparency. I appreciate your being here on a federal holiday, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, by the way, that's great because notice two things. First of all, that was totally a setup question. Is there a Trump doctrine? America first. Duh. I mean, who doesn't know that? Second of all, the notice she called it a federal holiday. She didn't call it Juneteenth. She called it, I appreciate you being here on a federal holiday. And I think 100% that was part of the plan. That was part of the plan to go in there and do a White House press briefing while the rest of the country or the rest of the federal government was off, because they can now, of course, hold the narrative, and they can make sure that they are controlling the narrative because no one else is speaking today because they're all off. Listen, I got a call yesterday from Wendy Bell asking me if I would record a segment on her show today at 2:15, which is in like 15 minutes. So I'm going to have to wrap up today's podcast. I apologize. Again, it's a federal holiday. So, we're just a couple minutes early so that I can record with Wendy Bell, and you can watch her show on Newsmax. It's the weekend show. I'm not really sure exactly what time it's on, but you'll catch it. I know you guys watch it because whenever I'm on the Wendy Bell show, somebody always writes me and goes, "Oh my God, I saw you on the Wendy Bell show." Or I'll be walking down the street and someone's like, "Mark Kaye, I saw you on Wendy Bell." So thank you for watching that show and for recognizing it. But I'm going to do that here in just a few minutes. And then tomorrow we'll have, of course, a full broadcast. And I imagine everyone will be back at work and there'll be so much more news. And I'm really excited about it. In the meantime, though, please make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you're subscribed so you can get all the information first. The information, the inspiration, the entertainment that we provide every single day. And also, another great way to support us is to support our campaign for Congress. Mark Kaye for Florida's 5th Congressional District. You don't have to live in the 5th Congressional District to support me. You do to vote for me, but to support me, all you have to do is visit markkayeforcongress.com and make whatever kind of monetary donation you can. $25, $50, $5. We'll take anything. $3,500 would be great, but I understand that's not within everyone's wheelhouse. So we'll take anything and everything that we can get. Go to markkayeforcongress.com. And again, make sure that you are subscribed to this station. Make sure you're subscribed to this platform. Wherever you're watching me or listening to me right now, whether it's a podcast or Facebook or what have you, make sure you hit subscribe so you continue to get this info every single day so you can stay informed, stay entertained, stay inspired, stay exuberant, and be ready constantly, totally vigilant to fight, and save the Republic. One last announcement, because I have to go do the Wendy Bell show, I won't also be able to do an after party today. So if you're a member of the Kaye Club, we will do that after party tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have an after party. We typically don't on Fridays, but we're going to maneuver things around so that we can have the after party tomorrow, and I can do Wendy Bell today. So no after party today.